One of the biggest problems emerging managers have is they don't have the know-how or the expertise on how to spend their time. They believe a lot of conventional wisdom when a lot of it's not true. So my name's Guy Costin. I'm the founder, CEO of Dakota. Me and our investment sales team have created a show called the Emerging Manager Growth Show. What we do on this show is we demystify everything that a lot of conventional wisdom comes from. And the whole goal is for an emerging manager to be able to do more with less. And you have a very experienced team in myself, and I have each one of my team members on. We break down all the tips and tricks and techniques for exactly what an investment salesperson and an emerging manager should be doing to help grow their firm. Join us for another Emerging Manager Growth Show. This is one you're not going to want to miss. Please join us for the Dakota Way sales coaching based upon our best-selling book, The Dakota Way. There are only 4 areas that we believe you can really control as a fundraiser. Setting expectations with your boss, establishing your TAM and where you're going to sell, becoming a master messenger, and having a killer follow-up system. It's those 4 core principles that you can control. This is something you're not going to want to miss as we're covering the 4 core principles that will turn you into a world-class fundraiser. Can't wait to see you on the next Dakota Way sales coaching. What is up, everybody? Guy Costin, founder and CEO of Dakota. Welcome to what we consider to be a special edition of our Dakota series called MasteringSalesforce.com. We're very passionate about data and data organization, and Salesforce.com in particular. There are a lot of good databases out there. We like Salesforce simply because it's so customizable. They do so much work for you. So what we're going to go through in the next 10 minutes is just some tips and tricks on how to master Salesforce and some of the things that we do to get tremendous leverage into our sales team. So let's just kick it off, talking about the importance of data and it being highly organized.
Yeah, it's everything because it helps guide your sales plans. So how are you tracking progress against sales plans, against your qualified buyers, and then how are you looking at that information daily and weekly to help drive activity and action?
Great. So selling you on, there's very few leverage points that salespeople have. A good CRM, entering meetings scheduled, call notes, and opportunities can just allow you to cover so much more ground than you can if you're using Excel or yellow sheets of paper, yellow pad, and all that stuff. So sort of point number 1 is just the level of importance of having your data organized knows no bounds. So as it relates to data, talk about the cold outreach process and then how important accurate and clean data is to the cold outreach process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to be able to track your activities, so it's very easy to do that in Salesforce. You can go back and see who you reached out to, what date, which triggers follow-up as well.
If the key to success is you have to do cold outreach to raise money, and that's what this is all about, then if your data's inaccurate, stale, or you're always looking around for who to call on and wasting all this time, I mean, that's just, you have a leaky bucket, right? Like that's why, if you believe cold outreach is the key to success, and then a good, clean, accurate database with up-to-date information of your call notes, the meeting you've scheduled, is so critical.
Absolutely.
That's point number 2, right?
Yep, and it's all about focusing on what matters most, so you're not spending a lot of time organizing the data, researching. It's there for you. You know exactly what to do once you go in it.
So now, point number 3 is we're going to slide you over a gold bar, okay? Because I'm telling you, we call this the golden field. This drives both of our businesses, both our fundraising business, sales business, as well as our database business. We call it the golden field. And do you want to describe the golden field?
Yeah, I would love to. So the golden field is simply a field in Salesforce that is on the account page. So you can go in and update essentially where you are in a sales cycle.
By product.
By product. So
if you just have one product like Edgewood Management, then it would just say Edgewood Sales Cycle.
Edgewood Sales Cycle, and then we classify that into different areas of where we are in the sales process. Importantly, we can run large reports against all of our accounts against the sales cycle, and then you can even sort by the sales cycle and see, oh, here are a bunch of blanks. I'm not in a sales cycle for my firm with these 50 accounts, and that triggers action. And then you also have a status of where you are in the sales cycle with the others, but it helps you measure penetration reports against your TAM, which we talk a lot about in terms of managing expectations against the sales plan.
So think of the golden field, okay? You're going to end up having two effectively stages. One is going to be at the account screen with the golden field that's going to have your product with client finals, red zone, due diligence, long-term evaluation, or close lost.
Correct.
Right, and so to make it very simple, if you're doing RAs in Boston, and let's just say there's a lot more than this, but let's say there's 50 RAs in Boston and you haven't prospected any of them, they would sit in the sales cycle prospecting. So if you go to Boston in your Salesforce and you see that there's 50 RAs and the sales cycle is equal to prospecting, that means you have to go build relationships with those 50. And then as you go meet with them, as you talk to them, you then start to categorize, and that field is a prospecting field. Conversely, when you create an opportunity off of that prospecting, then you create an opportunity, you're going to have another stages, but that's where you work, that's your pipeline, okay? So the golden field allows you to manage your prospecting, okay, and who you should target, your penetration rates, that allows you to track a lot of different things, but that's very, very important because it's going to give you total focus on where you should spend your time prospecting. That's the golden field.
Yes.
So let's talk just meetings and activity reports, just the importance of getting meetings scheduled into the database.
As soon as we set up a meeting, obviously you send out a calendar invite, but we log that immediately into Salesforce. One of the ways we do that here is through Slack, and then that automatically goes into Salesforce. That way you can see meetings I have in the future, so meetings on the calendar. You can also run it for past meetings, and once you complete those meetings, you will enter your notes there as well. But important because you can run reports against that.
Right. So it's critical that you get the meetings that you've scheduled into the CRM so you can run past activity reports, which triggers sales actions. And then the fifth point is you then need to create opportunity reports. So very simply, you go in when something really happens and something's live, you do opportunity, name, you do opportunity type, you drag in all these columns, then you need to create two custom fields, right? Mm-hmm. You need to create the custom field of current status, which is the text field, then next step. And those always have to be filled out. Because when you run the reports and you're sitting down with your boss or yourself, this is how you're triggering more sales actions. You want to know where you stand. And then it can't be blank because you need to know current status and next steps. So it's a real forcing mechanism. So tracking and creating opportunities to create your pipeline reports is vital.
Yes.
One thing that we talk about what we do in the consultants, we have separate scorecards for consultants, separate scorecards for BDs and banks.
Yes, so for the largest pools of capital, which some might call them key accounts, some call them consultants, where the number is somewhat finite. It's not a massive list like thousands of RAs, where those are the largest buyers of your strategy, the most important potential prospects for you. So you want to create a scorecard where you have, call it the institutional consultants, you have all 60 or so listed out. And so you're looking constantly at current status, next steps, where are the blanks, where do I not have an answer for where we are in terms of a status, and it just focusing on what matters most. Again, it's a simple way to constantly, with your team, be reviewing a report of the largest opportunities.
No doubt. And so as you start, getting those notes in is really critical. And then I just want to close with what I believe philosophically, that you have to look at yourself as Guy Costin Inc. or Andrew Shea Inc. Mm-hmm. And even if you're small, and even if you're using this just by yourself and your boss isn't demanding this, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard of excellence, of using the tools that you have, that you act like a big distribution business, even when you're small. It's really, really critical. Using Salesforce and treating it to run your business, your one-person sales business, even though you can probably get away with not doing it, is going to exponentially grow your career if you commit to this, because then you're going to be committing to a career of data accuracy and getting leverage out of the data. And I just can't emphasize enough how critical that is to career growth. And that's what we've all done. at Dakota, and it's absolutely exponentially grown our careers because we've been such big believers in this technology, and the technology gives us leverage.
Yeah.
So with that, Osh, any closing comments?
Obviously, just as Guy highlighted, I think at times, or if you first start getting into the habit, it can feel like extra work, but you'll find that you're actually doing less work at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, it's a great leverage point. So thanks for joining, everyone. This is another episode of MasteringSalesforce.com. Thanks so much for joining. This episode is brought to you by Dakota Marketplace. Are you tired of constantly jumping between multiple databases and channels to find the right investment opportunities? Introducing Dakota Marketplace, the comprehensive institutional and intermediary database built by fundraisers for fundraisers. With Dakota Marketplace, you'll have access to all channels and asset classes in one place, saving you time and streamlining your fundraising process. Say goodbye to the frustration of searching through multiple databases, websites, Form ADVs, and say hello to a seamless and efficient fundraising experience. Sign up now and see the difference Dakota Marketplace can make for you. Visit dakota.com/Dakota-Marketplace today.